really, it's like you can take 1 million and convert it to like 7 million, at a 10% return with 3% compounding assumptions in 20 years. And that's like you're not doing anything. I mean, that's what I call magic money.
Welcome to the Energy Upgrade Podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Grutman. And if you are a high-achieving woman, a successful entrepreneur, an inspiring entrepreneur, or just a woman with kick-ass big dreams, you're in the right place. If you value your energy, your health, if you want to be a biohacker, tap into longevity, if you want to raise the impact you have in this lifetime, you're going to have a lot of fun around here. As a second-time seven-figure business creator, certified health practitioner, and soul biohacker, I'm here to reconnect you to your energy, to the soul of your business, and to your superpowers. Let's go. Welcome home. Welcome back to the Energy Upgrade Podcast. This is Vanessa Grutman, your host, and today I'm joined by a wonderful guest, Juliana Uto, and I'm so excited as we're going to be having a deep conversation around money. So, Juliana, you are a wealth architect. You are a very, very prolific investor. And your goal is to really help women seek freedom through very strategic investments and create wealth and legacy for themselves and for their families. And I've had the pleasure of working along your side for the last few months. And it's just been incredible to see your passion. Like, you are just so passionate about wanting to put money in the hands of women, but also giving women the same opportunities for investment as men. So I just thought it'd be really, really fun to have this very grown-up conversation. And so thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Anytime I have a chance to talk about money and investing, I'm like, sign me up.
Yes. So let's start with the very beginning. How did you fall in love with this? And tell me more about your story and how did that happen?
Yeah, sure. So I'll go back to the beginning. My parents emigrated when I was 10. I was born in Romania. My mother tongue's Hungarian. It was communist at the time, and so my parents defected. They're political refugees. We lived in Austria for a year, and then we came to Canada straight away. That's the country that they had picked when we were in Austria. So yeah, I stayed in the refugee camps, like I did all the things that you hear about, and that was an experience. But it was also a very transformative experience. So we didn't, because in Romania at the time, there's lots of like Secret Service and KGB, and like I'm not KGB, I guess that was like Russia, but like Secret Service agents. So you didn't really share. You didn't disclose your plans, so to speak. So my grandparents didn't know that we were defecting. We didn't know we thought we were going on holiday with my sister. And so it was like, there's a very pivotal moment at the border where I realized what was happening, and it was very transformative. And then, so of course, my parents came here, and they began their lives all over again, with two young children. I have a sister who's 2 years younger than I am, and just really watched them, make a new life and work whatever jobs they could work to support us, and saw like we were kind of like upper middle class, I would say, back in Romania. And then when we came here, we were never like poor. I would never consider ourselves to be poor, but money was always a topic of conversation. And it was really the only thing that I think my parents would create tension in the house. It was always kind of around money or not enough, or like they were like prolific savers and very frugal and very in a way, to this day in some ways, some of which has rubbed off on me. So I still have tendencies, even having, secured kind of multi-million-dollar net worth through my investing and through my corporate career. There's still some tendencies of like, like turning off, not so much turning off the lights, but anyway, well,
isn't it funny? Also, I'm sure a lot of people are going to relate, but how we pick up money stories from our parents, like it runs so deep. But yeah, keep going.
It runs very deep. And so I had just decided at a very young age that, the whole reason my parents defected was for us to be able to get an education and have, a better life and all of that. And so I knew that I've always been very much about like optionality and having choices in life, and never really wanting to lock myself into any one specific path forward. Like I always wanted to have options. And it really, once you have kids, you kind of lock yourself in to like
Hmm.
go out the window. But until that point, I just knew I was going to be a millionaire. Like that was a thing, and I knew it was achievable, and I knew that that was my path. And I didn't make it seem like, oh my gosh, a millionaire. Like wow, it was just like that's what I'm doing. And I would play these games with myself even as I was. I had a 20-year corporate career from which I retired when I had my daughter. So I had my kids in my 40s. And like I was always a very strong advocate for myself. I always negotiated for the raises. I had a career that very much focused on the bottom line, so I could, like, well, I added X millions to the bottom line through negotiating this contract, and so, let's give me a raise,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
bonus, or let's. And then I invested that. So I started investing at a very young age. Um, as soon as I began my career, my background is engineering. I'm a mechanical engineer. Again, going back to optionality, like I didn't want to go to school for 4 years and not be able to get a job. And so a lot of my life decisions were based on very much on like logic and optionality. And I would say, I mean, now that I'm more in this, this idea of like masculine and feminine energy, like I was very much in my driven, like what I would say like masculine energy of like, I'm going to do this and I am doing this. And I was in oil and gas and energy and also a very masculine world. And so anyway, I'm like, by the time I'm 30, I'm gonna be a millionaire. And by the time this happens, I'm gonna have my house paid off. And by this time, so I would just play these games with myself and I would just do the thing. you
You
know,
would do it. You would achieve it.
I would just do it. And the thing that I'm super excited about passing on to and mentoring other women in this realm with is like my parents are millionaires and my entire family is that. And so considering that we came from, very humble beginnings in this country, um, we've all done exceptionally well, relatively speaking. And so I think this idea of, I mean, there's so many things that I could share, but this idea of, you need to be worthy to be wealthy, or you need to have a high paying job to be wealthy, or you need to make a lot of money, or you need to have, 6-figure months to be a millionaire, or none of those are really true. I mean, there's examples where that is the case, but I think it's just important for women to know that you can, if you begin investing, and you don't have to start with big amounts, but at an early age, and today is better than, today's day. If you haven't started 10 years ago, like today's the day. Just to begin investing, and the power of compounding is magnificent. Like I just ran some numbers this morning because that's what I do. As I have coffee. I'm like, what will this create in like 20 years? And really it's like you can take a million and convert it to like 7 million, at a 10% return with 3% compounding assumptions in 20 years. And that's like you're not doing anything. That's just your money
Hmm.
doing its thing, and it's like magic. I mean, that's what I call magic money. It's just
Yes.
power of compounding. So anyway, I mean, I have so much to say, but
Yeah. But so for someone listening, where do we start with investing? Because in order to have this kind of return, you need to have like a high number. Like you said, okay, if you invest 1 million, but not everybody's walking around with 1 million cash in their back pocket. So how do you teach women to, I guess there's a part of like responsibility and feeling like, okay, this is to trust the market as well. And I know you look for really funky, really fun, very aligned, very top line type of companies, but like where should someone begin on this journey?
so I mean, I would say so. The work that I do with women today is through a container that I run, which is a mentorship container, and it's really focusing on giving women access to alternative investments. So that would be like angel investments, or private equity, or venture capital, or co-investing with family offices. So really playing in this, I would say, this other dimension, this other realm that's not where you would start, and certainly not where I started. You can start there with angel investments. Like there are platforms available where you can just, you can invest $1,500 in a specific company. and then build your angel portfolio that way. Typically speaking, some of these more niche alternative investments require higher minimums. They do require you to be an accredited investor, which means you have $1 million of net worth, or I think if you're a single person earning 200K plus annually. So that's not where we start. But
Yeah.
a big part of building wealth really is, I think of it as three pillars. There's the earning the money, there's the holding it, and then there's the growing it or multiplying it. And I think a lot of women are quite good at earning it. Um, Maybe not as good as at holding it. And then investing is like it's just they either hand it off to someone or their partner manages it or they hold cash, right? And so when we talk about the energetics of money and investments, there is actually I think a lot of women get security from looking at their bank balances and seeing a big amount of money there, which uh, I'm no different,
Mhm.
but I've worked on my tolerance to lower that amount. So before it might be like, 100K cash, that's like, okay, now I feel good, warm, fuzzy feeling. But the idea is to reduce that to a level where that money is actually working for you. So where you start, I think for a lot of people, is investing in public markets because they're accessible, they're liquid. You can invest in an index, you can invest small amounts, like you can allocate, you can put in $100 a week or whatever
Yeah.
is comfortable for you. So the biggest thing I think when someone is getting started is just to build the discipline. It's just like with training, right? The biggest hurdle oftentimes is just getting yourself to the gym. It's
Yeah.
it's 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 preparing your food ahead of time so that you know what you're eating, so you're not grabbing at things when you're famished.
Yeah.
That I think is the what you're doing at that very, very early stage is you're building the discipline and the habit of paying yourself first and investing a small amount in the market. And before you know it, like that, it does compound. And then, then you're at 100K and then it's that compounds. And I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but if for someone that starts at say age 20 or even age 30, investing a small amount versus someone who starts at a decade later, it'd be very hard for them to catch up. You can't catch
Hmm.
the same amount invested because of the power of compounding, right? So, um, yeah, that's what I would say is begin to build a discipline of just holding the money and then investing the money and automate it so you don't have to think about it, right? It just automatically goes. You pay yourself first, it gets invested in an index, and then you live your life, right?
Yeah.
And you have extra cash coming, you don't spend it or you don't spend all of it, but you invest, a bigger chunk. And as your income grows, you invest a bigger chunk. And yeah.
And so at that level, obviously, you would work with someone like a wealth advisor or someone at their bank. Not they wouldn't be working with you at that level, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't at the moment, I don't have an offer for someone who's at the very beginning stages. I did run a boot camp. That was everything I wish I learned about investing before I got started in investing, um, which I think women have asked for. And so I might relaunch it. But the main way that I work with women today is either one-on-one or it's through this container. But the focus is not just on the investing piece; it's also around how do you think about money? How do you think about um, defensive and offensive strategies, tax strategies? How do you think about just all the different avenues that are available to women to build wealth, but also have impact, right? So
Mhm.
think about the funding that women founders get. It's 2% of venture capital funding, right? There's a relatively new um, market segment called femtech, which is generally female founded companies that are really making headway in addressing issues that pertain to women, which have been underfunded and not funded because men don't understand them and they don't want to invest in them, which is
Mm.
like fertility or like geriatric health or uh, like women's mental health. And so once you have a level of comfort with money and investing in these startups, it's an incredible way to also have an impact and really shift like move the needle in a massive way around the kind of companies that get funded. And so I'm hugely passionate about women investing in other women, really moving the needle on these issues that pertain to us, whether it's around caregiving or childcare, or there's some
Mhm.
incredible companies that are being founded by female investors, and to be able to invest in them and get an incredible return while you're doing good while doing well is that's kind of like a sweet spot of what I'm really excited about. So I guess to go back to your question, at that early stage, I don't think you necessarily need to have a wealth advisor. I mean, you can just invest in the index, right? You don't necessarily need to pay someone 1% of your assets under management for them to tell you that, right? And yeah, so I would just say, like, figure out, and there's lots of resources online, or you can, I mean, I'm happy to help as well, but just figure out what is the index that you want to invest in.
Fam Biohacker is the movement that gets you to move, to finally go all in on your dream of financial freedom and life fulfillment. It's the place that will get you to harness your energy and start seeing it as your main asset. I created this movement when realizing that success in the online world was an energy game and not so much of a strategic one like we'd been led to believe. I started noticing how when I mastered my energy on a physical, emotional, spiritual, and energetic level, I literally became unstoppable. Fam Biohacker is the program that helps you reconnect with your life force. And from that place, women are remembering their soul's mission, creating business masterpieces from their hearts, communicating and marketing their messages with ease, and ultimately feel in alignment in their life while doing it. From this unapologetic stance, energy flows. And you guessed it, money too. So, will you make a move and join us? And so I can speak for myself. I know for me, when I look at all of this, it's just like I'm really good with money. I'm good with my money. But when it comes to external sources, like putting my money in the hands of others, that's when I start to be like, ugh, it scares me almost. And then this whole like, you're talking about index and all the like, to
Yeah.
me, it's like, okay, but like where, like, I guess it's related to our risk tolerance as well. Like to me to go online and try to figure that out, I'm like, ew, I don't like, okay, if I'm investing $500, but if like, I'm not going to put a big sum in there. So, um, yeah, I'm just curious to know your thoughts around that. And of course, there's a level of, I guess, financial literacy that we need to have that we haven't had access to. Like really, it's not, and boys too, and like boys and girls, we don't teach them any of this stuff in school when we should. And so now we are adults, some of
Mm.
us business owners, and it's like, oh, we have all this money coming in. How great. That's, well, let's do something wise about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Um I see this a lot. I see in the online space a lot of the focus being on how much cash women are generating.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think many of us would agree that a big part of what we're looking to create is a sense of freedom and security in our lives. So where we're not having to continue to do a launch, we're not having to continue, like, we can hit the pause button, and we can walk away if we choose to, and we can have the experiences that we desire because they're funded by our investments. That to me is the ultimate freedom, where your lifestyle is supported by your investment portfolio. And so how you structure that and how you structure your portfolio is a function of several things. Your risk tolerance, obviously, your risk tolerance, your risk appetite, how soon you need that money, your liquidity needs, like, do you need access to cash quickly? Or a lot of the investments that I make they're locked in for 8 to 10 years, so that money is locked up. And so even from the perspective of being able to we talk about holding the energy or holding the vibration of like a client coming in or
Mm,
someone's your offer. It's similar in the sense of like that you've deployed this capital, like hundreds of thousands in some cases, uh, and there's an immense amount of like faith that you get to build within yourself that that money is working for you because you can't see it. You can't, log into your brokerage account or your stock portfolio online, um, and see it. Like you just know that you signed as, an agreement with a startup founder or with a private equity firm or whatever, and that money is working. And there's obviously reports that come back to you, and but a big part of being comfortable with investing is being able to let go and have faith and trust that, someone else is stewarding that capital on your behalf in a specific business. So I think of it as, when I don't know, I go on vacation with my family as an example. Like I love to just connect to the fact that I have literally hundreds of people working for me. Like
hmm
hundreds of people that are running companies, making decisions on my behalf. And all I did was I bought a piece of the company, right? So I don't have to do that work. Like maybe that's a projector in me. I prefer not to. I don't have to. Like if someone else can do that, that would be awesome. And I'm happy to do the work upfront of like which company gets to have my money and how do I allocate that. And there's those are those are skills that can be learned, right? That's what I teach inside the
hmm
bravery essentially is like, this is how you think about an investment. This is how you think about a real estate investment. This is how you think about an angel investment. That's like an early stage versus a series A. This is how you think about a private credit investment, and so these are the things you like look for. This is how the returns profiles might be different. Once you understand the language of investing, then the whole world opens up to you, right? It's like going to Italy as an Italian speaker is a very different experience than like someone dragging you along, taking you to places that they love to go see, right?
Yeah.
What happens when you invest with a financial advisor? Like I would not, and this is obviously none of this is financial advice, but like I would not be comfortable having all of my and as I mean we have to, it's almost like, we're both Canadian, so like skate where the puck is going, right? Like if you expect to be a wealthy woman and hold lots of like access lots of money in your lifetime, that's not going to be sitting in a checking account,
No.
right? Like it's going to be working for you. And so
Yeah.
that's really how you multiply wealth. If you look at the richest people in the world, they all have money that's being multiplied for them. And a lot of that is through investing, right? Or investing in your own company, but that company is going to kick off cash and then you still need to think of what to do with it. So I think it's the language can be learned. And I think it's when this is where I think there's massive power that comes from even as a business owner when you can not control but have power and agency with all aspects of your wealth building. So yes, you're just like top tier in being able to generate cash, but can you also multiply that, right? And
hmm
you can say, well, I multiply it through putting it in my own business, which then kicks off more cash. But that's active income. Like you have to continue to
Yeah, you
be
have to work for it.
you have to work for it, right? And so I'm just a huge advocate of like giving yourself the bandwidth to be able to step away if you choose to, or if you have to, or figuring out a way that you can get that equity out of your business. Then if it's like, I'm just putting it all in my business, that's fantastic. Then build a business that you can exit at a multiple that you can sell at some future point where you can unlock that equity, right? And
hmm
I built something that I can sell and it's brilliant. And now I get to go like hang out with my family while my kids are, at that age that I really want to be with them. And then I'll come back and build something else.
Yeah, which is my story. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there was something as you were talking, there was something about, power, because when I guess when we put all of that money in the hands of a wealth advisor or someone else, we give our power away at the same time, right? And this is also very much in our ancestors and in our lineage. Like really, when were women able to open bank accounts here? I think it's like in the late 50s or 60s.
Not that long ago. It's quite shocking when you think of it.
So imagine, like, of course, we still are wired to trust our male partners or like the men to be in charge of this. Um, when in fact, I guess all we got to do is start talking about it more and normalize it more and start no. So this is one thing I've learned just through being exposed to you, your work, and the conversations. It's like, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Like the kind of rooms you've been in, the kind of conversations you've been part of. I'm like, okay, wait, what? Like that's something we have access to? Like we can sit around these tables? Like, but if we give our power away when it comes to money, and I know this is going to resonate with some people listening, because I see this so much where, oh yeah, no, my husband does all the banking, and I used to be like that, like, oh, my husband does all of this, and I really had to rail back in, even just when it comes to like checking in daily revenues and checking, like really having my finger on the pulse. But I imagine that it's the exact same thing. It's the same muscle that you get to work when you are investing, and it puts you back in control, really.
Yeah, well, that's what it is, and really this is why I think I started Wealth Bravery is like bravery. It's in the name. But it's like be brave enough to uh, to um to make your own decisions when it comes to like money touches every aspect of our lives, right? You really can't exist without it, and it just when you control your own like your own money flow, your own investments, that's it gives you tremendous freedom in your relationship, right? It gives you freedom in terms of whether you decide to stay or you decide to go. It gives you an equal playing field of like we are equals in this relationship, and we each have our own money and we can have conversations where money is taken off the table and we really get to just talk about the issues. So money doesn't get to decide if your career is taking
Mhm.
the lead because the money comes in through your career, and that means that the kids and I get to be away from my parents and their grandparents, and now we have to follow because that's where the money, like it just levelizes the playing field in a massive way, and I think that's powerful. um Even in terms of just so many things, like you want to be able to control your own money. You don't want someone else to do that for you. And a lot of people do this mistaken belief that, well, someone money is such a unique special thing that someone else has the inside track and it's hard to understand and someone else knows it better, and I'm just
That's
going to.
really what we've been told, right? That's what we've been led to believe.
But that is, I mean, it's an industry, right? Like wealth advisors make their living off of managing other people's money. Like it's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
and the model is assets under management. So the more assets that you are managing, the higher your revenues are. And it's a business model. Like that's what it is. And so I think even just going back to the work that you're doing, Vanessa, around like health and like biohacking, and we've gotten like there was a time when it's like the doctor is the absolute
God.
knower of all things. Like yeah, totally, like God, right? And I trust that if you say I have this disease and it's terminal, then I'm like basically I'm just gonna like sit back and count my days. And it's like, no, like you have agency and you have power and you have the ability to make your own choices, and there's more than one way. And there's so many incredible opportunities that you will like if you're like public markets or bust, that you're just going to miss. And one, it's exciting. Like it's a massive opportunity to build some incredible networks and relationships. Like the people that I've met just through my investing journey are like multi-millionaires, billionaires, like incredible people who are doing really cool things in the world that, I get to support through either co-investment or through partnership. so it just opens up even as a if you're a businesswoman, like I'm just going to do this because it's an incredible way to meet other high net worth individuals who could become clients. Like if you just put your business development hat on and be like, okay, I want to be in rooms where women are talking about money, where like they're making moves, like what's happening, and it's a really great signal for what are some of the technology changes that are coming
The
down the pipe
pipeline, yes.
line, because you get access to, here's the startups that are disrupting healthcare. Here's the startups that are disrupting the financial landscape. Here's the startups that are disrupting child caregiving or elder care, or, so there's so many reasons, like strategically, where it just makes sense to play. Uh,
Hmm.
and I think some people say, well, I don't have time. I like run my business and I have kids, and I'm like, I do that too. But like the managing my family, like my family's capital and our wealth, and securing that and multiplying that, I mean, I don't
That's
know,
your
that's
job.
pretty high on my list of things to do. And it's a job, right? And uh, you don't need to spend, I mean, yes, it's a bit of a heavy lift in the beginning, just as, if you're learning to learn any skill, there's a bit of a heavy lift at the start, right? Learning to swim, learning to
Hmm.
bike, learning to whatever. Run a marathon, there's a heavy lift where it feels uncomfortable and it feels like this sucks. Like, but then you get to that point where you get to reap the benefits and the rewards of that effort that you put in the beginning, and it's just magnificent. Like we have to put ourselves in positions of holding big amounts of money and power, and
We need
have
it. We need it. I mean, it is going to be needed also as we evolve into this like new earth. And there is just more and more female leaders now being seen, being recognized, not being scared of being seen and recognized. So it's yeah, it feels like a whole new world, like a conversation that's just like like in the dark, like kind of behind closed doors. And I love that you're like, no, 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 let me just show you where the door is. Let's have the conversation.
yeah. I mean, that was also part of the catalyst. Is as I there's levels to every game, right? There's levels to biohacking, there's levels to money, there's levels to fitness, there's levels to all of it, right? And what I saw was, as I was increasing my net worth and kind of like my uh, investable assets, I was like, well, wait a minute. I mean, there's this game that we're taught, which is really around like public markets and GICs and mutual funds and bonds, and like not so exciting, right? And people have been, I think, spoiled over the last couple of years just with the bull run that we've had in the public markets. That's not going to last forever. Like if anyone's thinking, and again, non-financial advice, that the market is just going to keep going up, 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 like that it won't. And so when you look at the biggest predictor of your performance, your portfolio performance, is how you've structured your portfolio, right? So like how have you allocated across different asset classes? So if you're 100% sitting in equities, like, and you have a significant amount of money that you're holding, like nobody likes a 30% drop on a, $5 million plus portfolio. Like that's not that's not fun.
No.
So so I was like, well, and then there's this whole world of like private markets and private equity and venture capital, and seemed like very much a man's world, and like how do you break in? And I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. Like I'm just going to build the relationships and figure out what is this world. And for men, I think the benefit is a lot of the deals get made at the golf course or at the bar or on business trips or on guys trips, and women are at home taking care of kids and doing the things and running their businesses. So I mean, I used to do those things, the golf and the Century bike rides and the like all the things. I don't do them anymore because I can't really justify being away from my kids for like 6 hours to go, hike in the
Hmm.
mountains. So, um, putting yourself into rooms where these conversations are curated and happening, and it's like, here's the door, here's the person that you need to meet, right? What is your energetic connection to, like, do you feel like real estate is the way, or do you feel like you would really love to explore startups? Here's the people that you need to talk to. Here's actually like investment opportunities. Like I'm sharing one today with our members around just that, like a $5 million fund by a female GP that's investing in exactly this femtech caregiving, and so it's like, here, I'll help you diligence it. Like, I'll explain to you how it works. So the resources are out there. This idea of like it's too opaque and too complicated is not. That's not. If you want to be a wealthy woman and a free woman, like you need to figure this. You don't need to, but I
It's a good idea. It's a good idea to figure it out and not be,
yeah,
it's like the veil has to drop. Like we are shown, it's almost like we're shown this like hologram of what is the truth around money, and it's so not that. And it's interesting from someone like you who has her hands in all the like different pots to be like, hey guys, come and play with me. It actually is really fun and not that scary because like you said, like those bonds or the market, the public market, it just feels like sometimes it feels like Russian roulette. It's like, oh, how's this? And like Bitcoins were like that for a while where I put so much money and I lost so much money and it sucks. And it's like, oh, um, but now it's coming back up, so it's good. But did you overindulge during the holidays? If so, I have the perfect reset tool for you, and it's my liver detox. Now, this 7-day liver detoxification protocol is literally going to put you back on track like there's no tomorrow. All you have to commit to is 1 week of eating clean, a low inflammatory diet, taking supplements, and a particular shake that will provide you energy, hydration, as well as detoxification aid. And this will help reset your body. It will help reduce any puffiness, any extra weight that you might have picked up. It's going to bring your brain back online so you have mental clarity so that you can really work on your vision for 2025. It also will help increase your energy. It will help improve your sleep at night so that you can feel rejuvenated and ready for the New Year's challenge. So if you are ready to reset your energy and get back on track, start on a strong note, the link is in my bio. The 7-day liver detoxification is literally going to change your life. And hey, use code podcast at checkout for a special discount. I guess in closing, I'd love to know some of the cool companies you've been investing in and that you work with. Because the other day we were talking about biohacking, and you're like, "Oh yeah, Brian Johnson, my good friend. I'm investing into his company." I'm like, "Excuse me."
so
Okay.
yeah, Heroic is one of the companies that I invested. So I'm a founding investor in Heroic. Brian Johnson is just like an incredible soul and human, and really all about. He called it the answer to the social dilemma. That was the catalyst, I think, for building Heroic. And it's a platform that there's an app you can look up in the App Store. I believe it's heroic.us, I think it is.
Yep.
And he has a book out. I think I bought like 300 copies of it or something. They're in my basement. So if you need one, like just reach out.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I'm a massive supporter of everything that Brian built. So that's one company I'm super proud of, and that I have a six figure investment in. Another one that I also advise is Global Predictions, and Global Predictions is it's a fintech platform where you can input your entire portfolio into it, and then it gives you recommendations around like tax loss harvesting or recommendations to exit or enter positions that will increase your return on your capital invested. The One of the founding guys is from Bridgewater, so they're like super geniuses, very committed to like helping the average investor uh, get higher returns from markets, right? So those are two that I'm really proud of. There's this female founded fund that I'm going to be investing in shortly. That's all about investing in women and like femtech and caregiving. So yeah, those are
I
some.
remember the other day, someone in our chat sent a picture of her room at the Fairmont, and you're like, "Oh, I'm an investor in that bottle." There's like a different kind, like almost like a milk.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
Tetra. It's like a Yeah, the idea behind it is that they're able to basically engineer water to different, like whether you're an athlete competing in the Olympics in Athens or you're, I don't know, like you're doing some race in the Sahara Desert, like the quality of the water and the minerals that are in the water are different, so they engineer it for that. And then there's the mass market, just branded containers with like Fairmont and the UN, and I think
Four
they're
Seasons and all that. Yeah, the water bottles. When you go to Four Seasons, Juliana invested in those.
but it's really cool. It's really cool. Like that's also really cool, right? To be able to point to companies that you invested in, and it can be massively lucrative. I haven't had a unicorn exit yet. I think there's a couple companies in my portfolio that have the strong potential to be that. But if you look at like Uber or I think Skip to Dishes or like PayPal, all of these companies started off as, an idea, right?
Mhm.
And now they're billion-dollar companies. Like, would we have wanted to invest in Spanx? She had $1 billion, like Sarah Blakely, right? Had $1 billion exit. Now Sneaks, right? And so it's like a lot of it is not a lot of it. Some of it is being in the right place at the right time, like to invest in Elon Musk's, I think it's X.AI company. You had to know people that knew people, and was like $1 million minimum. But I found a workaround through a fund, right? With the fund invested. And so you can invest in the fund, then you can have exposure to that opportunity. So it's really around thinking about your entire portfolio in terms of, just as we have our dinner plate and we have our veggies and we have our protein and we have our, dessert, and it's a complete meal. Like you wouldn't just, I mean, I would eat just a piece of steak, but like most people wouldn't, right? And so it's the same thing when you think about structuring your portfolio is you want to have, some exposure to public markets and then some exposure to private investments, like 5 to 10% maybe in angel investments. And if you look at how the ultra high net worth invest, they have less than 20% of their allocation to public markets, and the rest is all in these alternative investments. And so, and holding some cash as well. So it's you don't know what you don't know. So it's like educate yourself that, oh, this is a thing, and that actually drives the bulk of your returns, right? How your portfolio is structured, and there's not like a hard science around that. It's a bit of art and science. And get comfortable with the conversation. Like it's I think for anyone who's wanting to just build wealth and they don't have, a high income, like my parents didn't for most of their career when we came here, but they still managed to like build up a pretty significant nest egg that I think for most people is like that would be amazing. And so if you have lots of money coming in, then it's even more important, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
An
I
accelerator to create your lifestyle and
The
impact
dream
that.
life and the freedom. The freedom is really important. And I think that speaks to everybody. And yeah, thank you so much for this conversation. And I know some people might feel a bit overwhelmed because it's a lot, but I guess like to your point, just take your power back, just look at your money, start assessing where you want to go, how you want to build wealth. Diversification is always key. And starting to, get yourself educated around it so that you can start making the right moves, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
where can people find you? Oh, you want to add something?
I
Go.
was say it's like anything, right? When you're learning anything, it's a bit intimidating. And I think the industry has made finance and investing to be like some holy grail of you need some special powers to be able to play in it. And it's just not true. It's not true. And the women, there have been some women who have wanted to come into the container, but they were like, well, I don't know if I have, if I qualify, so to speak. And I always say, and this has been, I think, a big part of my own success is I don't wait for other people to qualify me. Like I qualify myself, right? So if you want to be somewhere, if you want to sit at a table, you just put your hand up and you say, I want to sit at this table, not like, can I, or who has the,
Oh,
like, or
yeah.
find a table, and there have been, like I tried to attend uh, there's a woman in my network, she's like ultra high net worth, and they had, an event for women who have family offices, and I wanted to join. And it was like, no, you need to have $40 million to join. And I was like, this is interesting. I mean, on the one hand, I understand because the conversations are different. But if someone genuinely wants to sit at the table, and like I was willing to sponsor, be a sponsor of the event and like all the things, as women, like we should not be gating these conversations for other women. If someone genuinely wants to, and can afford to, or can, pay to play or whatever the thing is because of some, so I don't believe in that. The whole point here is to democratize access to these opportunities. And anyway, if someone wanted to answer your question, I think just, ask me any questions, any follow-up questions. I'm happy to answer them. Just, hop into my DMs. It's Juliana_Uto on Instagram. And that's probably the best way to find me, or you can find me on LinkedIn. There's only one Juliana underscore or Juliana Uto on LinkedIn, but I mostly hang out on Instagram. So
yeah, this is so important. And I mean, we could make this a 3-hour conversation, but I think just shedding light on, there's a whole other world out there, and it is our job to explore it. Nobody's going to do it for us. Like anything, like with your health, like with your business, like with making moves, you're the one that needs to make the moves. So surround yourself properly, educate yourself, step back in your power, decide that money is energy, decide that you want more of it, that you want to love it, that you want to enjoy it. And then suddenly things are going to start to shift. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time. It was so powerful. And I will see you online, my dear. Thank you for everyone who listened. As always, I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
The information shared on this podcast is for information purposes only and doesn't provide any medical advice. Vanessa Grutman does not cure, diagnose, or treat disease. Please consult your physician before trying any new protocol or product.